His finger trembled. Then he lowered it. His eyes burned, not with rage, with helplessness. He stepped back into shadow. Mercy wouldn't save her, but memory might. In a forgotten diagnostic corridor, Bryn cornered Halden. The doctor raised a brow but didn't reach for security. She's different, Bryn hissed. She remembers. She fights. Halden studied him like a riddle, then glanced down the corridor, empty. Quiet. For now. What do you want? A chance. Silence stretched, broken only by reactor hum. She'll be recycled, Halden muttered. Erased in fragments. Then unfragment her. The words lingered, absurd and desperate. Halden's fingers tightened on his datapad. Then he nodded just once. I can collapse the suppression. 5 minutes, no more. Bryn leaned closer. I'll draw the guards. You release the failsafe. It'll get us both erased, Halden said. We're already gone, Bryn replied. And that, finally, made Halden smile. Sirens split the stillness. Bryn had been discovered. The alarm painted the citadel in crimson pulses. Guards swarmed into false corridors, led by phantom signals Bryn left in his wake. The real fight was behind them. Inside a resonance tank, Rhea floated in suspended breath. Electrodes flared red. The light above her flickered. She knew. The plan had begun. She closed her eyes. One word rose inside her, swollen with blood, with pain, with everything she had never been allowed to say. Her lips moved. No. No to the programming. No to the silence. No to forgetting who she was. The system did not understand words. But the room changed. And somewhere in the lab subroutines, a failsafe blinked to life. Halden's finger hovered over the spike. He waited. And in the stillness, her defiance ignited like a flare. The word trembled out, hoarse and raw, scarred by years of repression, but whole. Halden exhaled, pressed the spike. A data overload surged into Rhea's harness. Her electromesh restraints burned apart in ribbons of light. She collapsed forward, body shaking. Her fingers dragged across the neural panel, smearing red. The interface lit up. It felt her, not as data, not as protocol, as will. She rose. The tank fluid drained. Circuits stuttered around her. She moved not with clarity, but conviction. The machine wasn't resisting. It was listening. She pressed her palm to the core's terminal. Input no longer restricted. Authorization, RHEA. Not subject. Not number. Name. And for the first time, the Citadel's core stuttered with something unfamiliar. Recognition. Her fingers found the interface socket. Deep behind her ear, she pulled the access sheath open. Metal hissed. Pain exploded across her skull. She didn't stop. She forced her fingers into the port, released the mechanical safeties. The implant surged. Limiters snapped. Nanofibers spread across her spine like fire. Her blood spilled into the socket's edges, vanishing into the ribs of the core like ink into parchment. The neural circuits responded, not as hardware, as memory. Flash, her brother's face. Flash, hers. The implant burned hotter than nerve endings could handle. But she stayed conscious. Clarity didn't come like light. It came like thunder. Her pupils dilated. Fire surged across the datanet. She wasn't rejecting the implant. She was rewriting it. In red. In blood. In truth. The doors burst open. Guards swarmed. Stun rifles raised. Orders barked. Too late. Rhea stood, bloodied but upright. The tanks around her hissed open. Pressure systems failed. Lights flickered. She didn't run. She turned slowly. The guards hesitated. She wasn't prey. She was something they didn't have a word for. Behind her, the core flashed mnemonic red. In her wake, the circuits still bled. The guns didn't fire. Not at first. Halden's voice crackled through the intercom. Go. His signal was weak, dying, but the message was enough. Rhea nodded once, then moved. Klaxon screamed behind her. She vanished into the Citadel's lower tiers, where blueprints ended and speculation began. Rhea didn't pause, didn't cry. She remembered. As she moved, her hand trailed along a panel, leaving a streak of red across flickering metal. Her blood, her circuit, her story. Above her, entire systems shut down. Suppression towers blinked out. Escape protocols activated. None of them hers. She moved on instinct, on history. She no longer needed direction. She was past that. The Citadel would never forget her, because she had carved herself into its bones. And somewhere beyond the void, stars waited, unchanged, unknowing, until now, because something new was coming. And this time, it would not ask for permission that IT would remember. The mesh flickered. Ria's fingers brushed the console, rerouting firewalls and micro-gestures only her rebuilt implant could translate. Neural pathways pulsed through the Citadel like veins, fed by orders designed to strip choice from a mind. She altered them. Autokill commands slowed in transit. Blinked once. Then again. Enforcers paused mid-attack. Target identifiers warped. HUDs showed corrupted glyphs and fractured BIOS. Ranks became faces. Old names slithered through the code. Callan, Dreve, Torah. Memories whispered in static. Orders lost their edge. What was absolute now flickered. One soldier hesitated mid-trigger, staring at the human he'd been told to erase. In his ear, a glitched voice log. A child laughing, clipped in time. He didn't pull. Ria didn't kill him. She moved past, breathing hard. Her mercy disrupted more than systems. It broke certainty. An elite unit flanked her, faces cold beneath mirrored visors. No questions, just precision. She didn't run. She engaged, but not to end them. A concussive charge struck first, light without flame, knocking them back but leaving them breathing. Neural dampeners followed, scrambling their implants into incoherence. Their vision glitched, color inversion. Orange turned teal. Sound slowed. In the static haze, old voice logs bled into the real-time feed. A mother. A lullaby. A whisper of earth. She disarmed too. Rewrote the third's firing pattern mid-exchange. They collapsed, not unconscious, just still. One reached for his weapon, then looked at her. Really looked. Her helmet retracted. Eyes alive, scarred, unflinching. He lowered his arm. She stepped over him and vanished into shadow. No one died, but something inside each of them did. Obedience. In the Citadel armory, Ryshan paused. The command loop in his spine jittered, a skip in the rhythm of servitude. He staggered. 6 limbs flexed. One hand clutched his head as static filled his auditory feed. A memory breached. Sky. Amber gold sky over his home world. Clouds like sails. A final sunset before orbital fire erased everything below. He inhaled, and for the first time in years, the air felt like his. His controller blinked green. Orders queued, but his hand moved first. He walked toward the holding bay. His gait was slow, measured, but every step was rebellion. The corridor lights flickered as Ryshan passed through maintenance access points no one used anymore. He disabled auto-restraints with muscle memory, bypassing alarms designed to catch chaos, not intent. The prisoners inside weren't warriors. Not anymore. Mutants, hybrid engineers, biomech prisoners half forgotten by their creators. Some hadn't moved in cycles. He touched a hybrid shoulder, whispered a code fragment. Eyes blinked. Recognition. One by one they stood. No war cry. No slogans. Just movement. They didn't need to understand everything. They knew enough. Something had changed. Someone had remembered them. Now, they would return the favor. Dr. Halden embedded the override signal in routine medical logs. Narrowband pulses mimicking sleep therapy metadata. Every dose administered became a spark. But someone noticed. A Puritan guard, zealot, August mods twitching with suspicion, flagged the anomaly. Halden was summoned. Interrogated. They didn't ask questions. They just heard him. Blood trickled from his lip. A split tooth pulsed against his tongue. They wanted him to confess. He smiled instead. Silence was more dangerous than denial. In the cobalt cell, Bryn's fingers traced the rhythm of old words across cold alloy. He didn't know if she was on the other side of the wall, but he spoke anyway. You're not the weapon they wanted. He coughed. Don't let them push you in a fire just so they can feel right watching you burn. Silence. Then, faintly, fingers mirrored as on the far wall. A beat. A pattern. Connection. He rested his head against the steel. Even a whisper had gravity. She connected her implant to the forgotten archive. lines of cable stretching like veins across a collapsed data spire. A pulse triggered the flood. Childhood smells. Pavement after rain. Street vendors shouting over jazz. Someone holding her hand, tight, not afraid. A name, hers, shouted in joy, not fear. It overwhelmed her. Memory didn't return clean. It clawed. She wept, buried her face in her arm. The screams weren't external, they were echoes. She saw Bryn's face again, curled in pain. She had waited too long. The guilt didn't kill her. It sharpened her. She stared into a polished steel panel. The face that stared back was hollow. Hair matted, eyes rimmed in salt. She found a surgical blade. Cut. Each strand fell like chains. No more hiding. No more fear of who she'd been. She wiped her tears with calloused fingers. Stood. They had tried to reduce her to software. They forgot humans rewrote their own scripts. No more waiting, she whispered. Her voice was steadier now. Time to finish what they started. Moonlight touched nothing in the valley. The neural backup tower rose like obsidian fangs. Rhea, Raishan, and the freed moved like shadows, severing relay nodes, silencing patrols. Operation Nemesis began. A code spike lit the sky. Locks burst open. They stormed the inner cortex. Steel screamed. Command relays buckled. Rhea reached the control terminal, fingers flying. Something was wrong. Systems weren't resisting. They were ready. Too ready. A hiss. Floor panels slid open. Stasis pods dropped like steel coffins. Power blinked. From one pod, mist billowed. Kex Voller stepped out. His smile didn't reach his eyes. His voice wasn't entirely his. They didn't break you, he said, stepping barefoot into the control light. They downloaded you. Her pulse spiked. The neural backups hadn't been stored. They'd been copied. Her thoughts. Her codes. Her fire. He had it all. This wasn't a fortress. It was a trap. She raised her weapon. He didn't flinch. Kill me, he said, voice wrapped in machine hum. And you kill part of yourself. Behind her, the lights dimmed. The freed prisoners shifted uneasily. Memory and code, weaponized. She had lit the match, but someone else had bottled the flame. The corridor bucked as atmosphere bled into space. Rhea moved first, body braced in 0G, rigged with detonation nodes strapped across her back like vertebrae. Plasma torch flared to life in her right hand, a clip detonator in her left. Her boots kissed steel silently. Raishan surged beside her, six-limbed, fury-bound, ripping bulkheads from their hinges like parchment. The citadel groaned around them. Alarms stuttered, but didn't sound. Too late for panic. Behind them, breached access ports hissed shut, locking the path forward. Sparks trailed in long silver threads behind Rhea's braid as her torch cut arcs into the command spine. This wasn't a breach. It was surgery. They weren't invading. They were removing the rot. Each breath tasted of metal and electricity. Her pulse echoed in her ears. The system didn't know whether to purge her or obey. That was the point. They reached the terminal node, a nexus of memories, commands, pain. The walls pulsed with control logic. Green veins of obedience fed into black crystal conduits. Rhea threw herself at the panel. Her glove hissed open. Bare fingers pressed into living circuitry. Sparks burned into her skin, blood searing against the interface. Behind her, Raishan lifted the mechanized lock, 4 tons of magnetic steel. With a sound like thunder swallowing bone, he tore it from its base. The control web sputtered. The network screamed. Rhea didn't flinch. Her mouth moved in silence. She wasn't broadcasting commands. She was broadcasting herself. She initiated the upload. Her neural mesh expanded. Pulses transmitting not code, but memory. Childhood laughter echoed across encrypted lanes. A sister's hand pulling her toward light. Music, old, imperfect human. A kiss in zero gravity. A voice saying her name like it mattered. Every recollection spread like color across grayscale. Slave nodes blinked. Embedded units stuttered. It wasn't just data. It was life. The Citadel's prisoners, biomex, hybrids, stolen minds, paused mid-execution protocols. Eyes glazed. Knees buckled. Fingers twitched around trigger guards. And then, recognition. Across the station, captives gasped in unison. A virus of self had been released. Across the citadel, synchronized glitch waves rippled outward. Thousands of eyes dilated, twitching in silent rebellion. Some dropped weapons, shivering. Others fell to their knees, pressing trembling hands to their chests. And a few, just enough, rose. They turned, not against the storm, but toward it, against those who had silenced them. A tech officer's scream was cut short by a mech's hand around his throat. A drone command squad evaporated as their guardians remembered pain. The masters who erased identity now stood before machines that remembered. No bloodthirst, no scream, just memory like fire. A siren finally sounded, a low, trembling wail. Failsafe triggered. A single switch blinked red in Ria's peripheral. A single command, total lattice overload. Every control line severed. Every slave disconnected. But not cleanly. The price of liberation, collateral. Every still-linked mind would fry. Hundreds, maybe thousands. They would die free. But they would die. Her hand hovered over the switch. Trembling. It would be so easy. The weight of leadership isn't the charge, it's the pause. She waited. Waited for a sign. The radio crackled. Then his voice. Ria, Bryn rasped. Weak. Broken. But there. She closed her eyes. I saw you, he said. In that moment. You weren't a weapon. You were you. Static hissed. They'll call it mercy if you end it now. But you taught me something else. Mercy's easy. Hope, that's harder. Silence stretched. Don't kill what you aim to free. She swallowed. The pain in her hand meant nothing. The ache in her chest meant everything. The switch blinked. Waiting. Her answer wasn't a word. It was her pulling her hand away. She rerouted energy through the backup rails. Slower. Riskier. But alive. Instead of destroying the lattice, she broke it thread by thread. Code like prayer. Energy like forgiveness. One mind decoupled. Then another. Then hundreds. Lights across the citadel dimmed. The whole structure groaned, not in agony. Release. Ria's skin blistered. Sparks kissed her cheeks. But she didn't flinch. Her hands danced across ruined keys. The machine learned gentleness. It didn't shatter. It exhaled. And the scream that never came felt like salvation. Kex Voller waited in the core. The chamber was cracked, panels charred, cables like veins torn from flesh. He raised his weapon. But she didn't. No armor. No mask. Her voice, quiet, calm. I have a name. Kex hesitated. I remember, she said. And now you will too. He blinked. His weapon trembled. Silence fell, not empty. Charged. Not one of war. One of reckoning. He dropped the weapon. Clattered metal rang louder than gunfire. His knees hit the floor. What do we do? His voice cracked. Not rage. Not command. Grief. 1,000 years of domination folded into one moment of recognition. Ria didn't answer. She stepped past him. Mercy again. But not softness. Choice. A gift denied to her. Now given. Behind her, Kex trembled, stripped of purpose. Sometimes defeat isn't death. It's living with what you've done. She emerged through flame-scarred corridors. The citadel behind her, flickering, hissing, broken. Not destroyed. Transformed. Freed prisoners walked slowly, as if awakening from dreamless sleep. Some wept. Some touched the walls as if testing reality. She passed through them. Not hailed. Not glorified. Recognized. Not a soldier. Not a messiah. A survivor. A beginning. She raised her hand. Fingers curled in a familiar sign. One word left her lips. A whisper. Home. The sound passed like wind through a forest. Echoed in those around her. No anthem played. Just silence. But now it was theirs. Dust chokes the horizon of the Mournhold Strip, a mining colony buried on the lip of Zerati space. Broken equipment grinds under gray skies. Workers, spine shackled and number tagged, move in synchronized silence. Until one pauses. She doesn't speak. Just stands. Straight. Chin high. Hand raised in that now forbidden gesture. Heart, sky, earth. The motion is slow. Intentional. The guards don't react. Not yet. But another worker notices. Then another. Across the work sector, 50 bodies echo the motion. mechanical rhythm giving way to human memory. No words, no violence, just recognition. They do not scream. They remember. A low-frequency transmission hums through the void between star systems. It isn't official. It doesn't need to be. The voice, weathered but alive, spills through old mining comms and forgotten fleet channels. Bryn, they named her Echo. We call her Freedom. Static pulses. The message repeats. Miners stop to listen. Engineers place trembling hands to receivers. Children mimic the chant, not knowing its origin, only its weight. Everywhere the name passes, people lift their eyes. They don't need to see her. They already know what she became. In an abandoned Zerati listening post, deep under the crust of an asteroid moon, warning lights strobe red. Technicians cluster around consoles as code loops rise from beneath dead systems. An AI core, once decommissioned, activates. Its audio thread glitches, but the message is clear. Fear the voice. Fear the voice. Fear the voice. Over and over. One tech whispers, "This wasn't in our archives." The voice is synthetic, but something deeper churns beneath it. Pain etched into algorithms. Legacy wrapped in terror. A contagion that speaks through silence. And the machines? They remember. Neon gutters pour broken light across a rain-slicked rooftop on Carthus 6, a forgotten city. Electric billboards buzz static into midnight. A cloaked figure moves through the glow. Not fast, not hidden, deliberate. The silhouette stops on the edge. Wind flicks her hood. She doesn't raise a weapon. She raises a hand. Heart, earth, sky. The gesture ripples through alley shadows. A child below mirrors it. So does a thief. And an old man. The symbol lives. And so does she. A new signal flashes across the resistance meshnet. Encrypted. Brief. Universal. No origin. No callback. Just a phrase. Subject 733 is listening. Terminals blink in rebel bunkers. Drones pause mid-flight. Synthetic minds twitch. She doesn't have to shout. She never did. The galaxy has learned her silence. Now it responds. The voice they tried to bury speaks in echoes, gestures, memory. And the stars? They begin to listen, not to commands, but to truth.